Hello everyone, I am Dave Guadas and I'm here to discuss the conventions in applying Kirchhoff's current law or KCL and Kirchhoff's voltage law or KVL when you try to identify parameters in a particular network. That is, how will you actually use KVL and KCL in finding voltage, current, and power in a given network. Now, in this video presentation, I will discuss how will you do that in a circuit element level. Now, let's start with KCL or Kirchhoff's current law. According to KCL, the algebraic sum of the currents entering any node is zero. So, for example, at node A in the figure shown on your screen, so this right here, there are five currents involved. We have I1, I2, I3, I4, and I5. Now, additionally, we consider currents entering a node as positive currents, while currents leaving a node are negative currents. Okay, so the result of applying KCL for node A in the figure on your screen is right here. So you have I1 which is entering, then plus negative I2 plus negative I3 plus negative I4 plus I5. So notice that I2, I3, and I4 have negative signs. This is because those currents are leaving the node. So notice also that we can actually transfer I2, I3, and I4 to the other side of the equation. So as a result, we will have I1 plus I5 is equal to those currents that were transferred. So that's I2 plus I3 plus I4. So we can notice that so we can notice that uh, for KCL, the sum of currents entering is equal to the sum of currents leaving. So this is how most of the electrical engineering people remembered KCL. So again, for most electrical engineering people, we will say in a given node, the sum of currents entering is equal to the sum of current leaving, right? So again, for us electrical engineering people or even computer engineering people and those everyone who are working with electric circuits. So in a given node, the sum of current entering equals the sum of currents leaving. Okay, let's try to work with this network right here. So notice that this network has two voltage sources, independent voltage sources, 36 volts and 24 volts. It also has five resistors in it now. Then, as you can notice, there are five branches now. We have I1, I2, I3, I4, and I5. And we also have three nodes. We have node A, we have three branch involved. We have node B. We have another three. We also have three branch involved, and we have node C. So this is node C. This part right here. This can be considered just one node because there is no resistor or there is no element in between these two. Now this node C has four currents involved. We have I4, I5, I1, and I2, if you can notice that. Okay, so if we try to apply Kirchhoff's current law to these three nodes, the result is right here on your screen. So at node A, we can say that there are, again, there are three currents uh, involved. We have I1, I2, and I3. So notice that I1 and I2 are entering while I3 is leaving. So that is why at node A, we can say I1 plus I2, that's current entering, is equal to the current leaving, which is I3. So it works similarly with node B. However, for node B, we have one current entering and two currents leaving. So that is why we have I3, which is current entering, is equal to the sum of current leaving, which are I4 and I5, right? Okay. So for node C, finally we have this right here, this part right here can be considered entirely as node C. So we can say that I4 and I5 are entering this part right here. So that is why we have I4 as I5, the sum of current entering, is equal to the sum of current leaving, which is I2, I1, and I2. So notice that this current I1 is leaving here, and this current I2 is also leaving at this node. So that is why uh, I4 plus I5 is equal to I1 plus I2. So for newbies to electrical engineering, this is quite uh, not easy, to recognize that I4 plus I5 is equal to I1 plus I2. Right? Right. We will consider Kirchhoff's voltage law. So Kirchhoff's voltage law is one of the two Kirchhoff's laws, one of the two Kirchhoff's laws which are very important in making electric circuit analysis. So for Kirchhoff's voltage law, it states that the algebraic sum of the voltages around any closed path in a particular network is zero. So you have your element there, you have your network, then uh, any closed path along that network, if you take the algebraic sum of the voltages of all the elements along that path, closed path, this, that that algebraic sum should be zero. Now, let us consider this network shown on your screen, right? So you have a network with three elements, one, two, and three. Okay. It also has like three nodes A, B, and C. Okay. So now, assuming you already have identified the signs for each element, the voltage sign, that I mean the where to place your plus and minus. So which will be dealt in will be discussed in the next slide. Okay. So assuming you already do that. So for example, in this case, you have for your element one, you have minus here and plus here. You have also have a plus and minus for your voltage 2 or element 2. You already have also identified your plus and minus for your um, voltage 3. Now, for an, a network or a closed loop like this, which can be seen in your screen, we have two options for applying KVL. So first, we can have a clockwise, so say from A to C to B and back to A, that's clockwise. Or we have a counterclockwise, which can be B to C to A and back to B. So in any case, no, you will get the same equation, or you will get the same result, which is equal to zero. The voltages along this closed path should be zero. So algebraically, there is some sort of a um, difference in terms of signs, as you can see on your screen. So for example, if you take the clockwise loop, so for example, from B to A, then to C, and back to B. So from B to A, you can see that you enter, your loop enters a minus and exits a plus. So every time your loop enters a minus and exits a plus, that's a plus voltage. Okay, that is why V1 here is plus. Then from node A to C, right? So you can see our loop enters plus and exits minus. Our loop enters plus and exits minus. So we get a negative V2, this right here, negative V2. Then finally, we have between nodes C and B, we have uh, we in our loop enters minus and exits plus. So we get V3 as a positive voltage. Okay, so this is our equation. Everything, because this is already a closed loop, everything here should be equal to 0. Okay, so the same goes, the process is the same with when applying this idea or this law in a counterclockwise manner. So for example, we want our loop to be from B, then to C, then to A, and back to B. So that's counterclockwise. So between B and C, we have a element number 3, in which case our loop enters plus and exits minus. The loop is, since it is counterclockwise, the loop enters plus and exits minus. That is why our V3 here, this V3 right here, has a negative sign, right? And between C and A, nodes C and A, we have our V2, but our loop enters minus and exits plus. So that is why our V2 here get is positive sign or positive V2. Okay? And finally, we have for between nodes A and B, we have um, V1 or element 1, in which case our loop enters plus and exits minus within this element. So that is why a negative V1. Now, if we look at these two equations, the equations clockwise and equation for counterclockwise loop, you can see they are actually equivalent. So one is just the negative of the other. So if we take we multiply the example the equation for the clockwise loop, you will get the same equation for the counterclockwise. So when you apply a KVL in a closed path along a network, so it doesn't matter whether you do it counterclockwise or clockwise, because you will still get the same equation, right? So that's it for the basic of Kirchhoff's voltage law. Okay. Now, on doing a KVL, on applying a KVL in a particular network, we have very interesting question. Uh, how will we assign polarity for circuit elements? So remember, in the previous slide, we were given with a network which already has uh, V1, V2 with plus and minus signs in it. Okay? But in reality, you will be dealing with networks which are composed of resistors and voltage and current sources. Now, if we apply KVL to a network composed of resistors and voltage and current sources, how will we assign polarity for each of them, for each element, whether it's um, an active or a passive element? Okay. Okay, let's start with the active elements, right? So there are two types of active elements, dependent and independent. Now, the polarity or the plus and minus signs are said to be inherent for voltage sources. Of course, voltage sources have plus and minus signs in it, so there's no like that's easy for us to identify which is the plus and the minus signs for a particular voltage source, whether it's dependent or dependent, right? So, however, if you have a current source, it is now a matter of a hard question. Can you really do a KVL on such kind of active elements? The answer is no. Generally, no. KVL, on doing a KVL, you are actually taking the sum of literally, no, you're literally taking the sum of voltages of elements along a closed path. So, uh, except except when you know the voltage across a particular current source, you cannot apply KVL on it. Okay, so generally, you cannot do KVL with current sources except when you know the nodal voltage across that um, particular source. Okay, so whether it's a dependent current source or an independent current source, generally, no, generally you cannot do KVL on it. Okay, so it's kind of like a black and white. Also, it's black and white. So if it's voltage source, it's easy for you to define the polarity. But if as a current source, you cannot generally do KVL on it. Okay, so that's it for the active elements. But for passive elements, it is kind of like a more difficult. Okay, so it's for active elements, it's black and white. But for passive elements, it's kind of more difficult because you we need to identify first that we need to compare our loop direction with the direction of the um, assume current. Okay, so for example in this case, right, so you have to really take note about this. Okay, so if you already assume the current direction is right here for I1, so meaning for um, for this resistor right here, if your loop is clockwise, meaning from here up to your node A clockwise, or if your loop is along with your current direction, assume current direction, the voltage drop across a resistor is negative. Okay? I'll say it again. If your loop direction is the same as your current direction, the voltage drop is negative. Okay? Otherwise, it is positive. So, for example, I have 6 ohm a 6 ohm resistor here. I assume the current direction is downward. Okay? If I'll take a KVL, no, I'll take a KVL in this loop. So starting here, no, starting here, then here, right here. The current, no, and the loop is the when the loop is clockwise, the voltage here will be positive. Why? Because the loop direction is opposite with the current direction. Okay, so that's the rule for passive elements. Loop direction same with the current direction, negative voltage drop. Loop direction opposite with the current direction, that's positive voltage drop. Okay, so you have to remember that uh, since uh, since today. Okay. Okay, let's try to make an equation out of the network we have shown you before. So, for example, I have a closed path right here, starting at this point, then right here, then point A, then point B, and point C. So, this loop right here. I assume a clockwise loop, no? So, I assume a clockwise loop. So, starting here up to here, and back to here, back to this point. So it is a closed one. Okay, so of course from here up to here we have one element, from here then here another element, then here another element, then in this loop we have four elements. So we are literally trying to take the sum of the voltages across these four elements, then we expect them to be equal to zero. Okay, so all right, so from here up to here, it's a it's an independent voltage source, so it's easier for us because the loop enters minus and exits plus, so it is positive 36. So that is why we have a 36 right here, positive. Then of course we have a plus sign because every voltages has to be added. Okay. However, for 4 ohms, the voltage drop across the 4 ohms, we put a negative sign here because we assume a current that's going that direction and our loop is in the same direction. Loop direction is the same as the current direction or assumed current direction. We'll have a negative voltage. Same with our voltage drop across the 5 volts. So that is why we have negative 5 V 5 ohms right here. And our voltage drop across the 9 ohm resistor. So 36 volts is positive. Voltage drop across 4 ohms is negative because the loop direction is the same as the current direction. And so with your 5 voltage drop across your 5 ohm resistor and your 9 ohm resistor. So of course, voltage drop across a resistor is the product of the resistance and the current. That is why in the next part of the equation, we substituted before with negative with 4I1. That's the product of the resistance and the assumed current direction. I mean the assumed current magnitude I1. Okay, and so on. That goes the same for your 5 ohm resistor and your 9 ohm resistor. Okay. Now, if we simplify the equation, we'll get 36 minus 4I1 minus 5I3 minus 9I4. Okay. So we can see we have three negative voltages. Why? Because along the path that we have chosen, we have three resistors, all of which are in the same, all of which have currents that has currents that have the same direction with our loop direction. Okay, so that's 36 minus 4I1 minus 5I3 minus 9I4. Okay, so you can, and that's the process. No? That's the process. Every time you do, you apply KVL in a particular network, in a particular loop, no, in a particular loop. So voltage drop across resistors whose current is the same with your loop direction should be negative and positive otherwise. Okay? Okay, that's all for this video presentation, everyone. Thank you and see you in our next video.